take a look at the carburetor. That's right, it has a carburetor. But it's an 05. It's okay to have a carburetor in 2005 on a dirt bike. Not so much for a car, but you know. Holy cow. Somebody got those super duper tight. Somebody got on here with their super strength. Well, trying to think of how I'm going to remember how these hoses go. I think I'll figure it out though. Let's set all those aside. This we're not going to take off because it's a pain in the butt to get back in there. I've experienced that in the past. Get our idle adjustment out of the way. That one just feels terrible. Oh yeah. Who was in here last? They put the strength to her. I probably ought to go ahead and take this screw out if we want to remove the bowl. It's going to be important. Well, she's drying a popcorn fart in here. There's a little junk down in there. This is an 8. I'm going to grab a jet screwdriver, and I wonder if this will move. Oh yeah, look at that. She moved right now. That's awesome. Get our float out of the way. Needle. That's what I don't like about these Honda carbs, these key-ins. That's pressed in, and that O-ring will get old and crack, and then it just won't shut fuel off. At that point, it's a real pain in the butt. Usually it's easier to replace the carburetor than it is to do anything else. Pull our pilot jet out. That was not a pilot jet. This is a pilot jet though. There he is. We'll get all that stuff looking nice and pretty. Let's see how far out our screw is here. 1/2, 1/2, 2/2, 2.5 turns out. Now there should be an O-ring down in there. So let's dig him out. You think of where my digger outer tool is. There it is, right there. This also has a leak jet right here. And what it does is whenever you hit the accelerator pump, it allows some fuel to leak back into the bowl, and that regulates how much the accelerator pump works. Kind of a weird system, but it works well. Thing to remember is it only works when you're giving it throttle. That's the only time that jet comes into play. Oh, it's a crispy O-ring. Wow. All right, come on the top of this sweetheart off. And voila. There is some junk in there. Goodness. All right, we need to loosen that screw up. We need to take that screw out, but we don't need to pull the shaft out. Should be able to rotate this up and pull our slide out, just like that. Now we just lost the front of our slide, this dealy bobber here, and he sits on there like that, but it kind of flows freely, so you want to keep an eye on him. And these wheels will fall off this slide too. Kind of keep that in mind when you're working with these things. Let's see, let's go ahead and pull our choke out. There we go. The hot start we pulled out with the cable, so we don't have that in there anymore. And I think these fall off too. Nope, I think they're going to stay on. Cool. I like it when something actually cooperates. Alrighty, we run this through the Vibratron, and now we'll stick this sweetheart back together. Now we have a Honda kit around here that has some of our O-rings in it. Certainly doesn't appear to have them all. Well, let's see exactly what we got in here. I'm going to dump these out off to the side here. We have a float bowl gasket, we have the top cover gasket here, and then we have an assortment of O-rings. But none of the O-rings are big enough to be this O-ring. So that will just have to be how it is. That baby sits on there, and notice our wheels have come completely off the bus. These wheels sit on here kind of like that. And we'll grab another one, and he goes on here like that. And here's another one. He'll go on here. Just push him over the bearing. And this one is the odd man out. He doesn't have a bearing. I don't know why that is, but it is. All right, I think this goes in this way with this plate towards the intake. So it rides on its little wheels and goes down in a hole like that. Now we need to bring him back up and get our arm started in there. Keep bringing him up, bringing him up. Now what's all over this is I sprayed a bunch of, what is this, ZEP 45 on here, because I cleaned this carb this morning, and I like to spray them down whenever I take them out of the carb cleaner. That way we just get along a little bit better with it. I'm trying to find my screw that goes in there. It might be this one. Yep, I think it is. At least it's the right size anyway. May not have been the original one. There we go. Now our slide should go up and down. Whoppa, whoppa. Kind of like that. Moving on. All right, this is our choke. That's our hot start. But this is the choke passage, so we need to slide this sweetheart, our choke plunger, back in here. Tighten him up. Now, once this seats, it does not need to be real taut. I'm going to grab what's convenient, a pair of pliers, to tighten it down. And that's all it needs, not very much. Should stay out and then go all the way in and seat. It does. It's not too bad. Let's go ahead and put our top back on. And we have a new gasket for our top. So we'll peel this old sweetheart out of here. It's kind of glued down in there a little bit. I usually use grip glue for that kind of thing. And see if this baby will just set in here or if we need to actually give it some love, some attention. I think it's going to set in there. Maybe. We'll take this thing and just turn him over to match and set him down on here. Oh yeah, just like that. That's a good thing. Get all the other pieces out of the way and then we'll start looking for screws. This used these 3mm headed Allen screws. And we have an Allen wrench, odd as it might seem. It's another case where you don't need to go crazy tightening it down. Just snug it up. Now we'll roll this baby over and get to the business end of this thing, the float bowl. And let us see. This jet was in this hole. Let's look through it and make sure it's clean. It is. It went in there. That'll do. Get our pilot jet. Yep, it's clear. Blah. Now my mouth tastes like that ZEP 45. I wonder why it's not ZEP 47 or ZEP 35. I'm going to guess it's 45 because it's 5 more better than WD-40. I don't know. It's completely different stuff, I can tell you that. Okay, that's on. This sweetheart sits on here kind of like, let's see, like that. And this is our emulsion tube and main jet. And he'll sit down in here around that needle. Like so. Once again, we'll not use the proper tool to tighten it up. We'll use a pair of pliers. Man, pliers are even upside down. Let's turn them over so they don't look quite so bad. There we go. Boom. That's in. Doot, doot, doot. Now that won't come back off. This is a slosh guard. So if you're flying through the air or over rough ground, it keeps fuel to the jets. That's really all it does. But it does do it really good. We need a float and a float needle. This seemed to be working okay before. So we're going to guess it's going to work okay again. Not sure about that O-ring, but so far so good. Not a big fan of those, but it is what it is. I replaced more than one Honda carburetor because that O-ring was leaking. And now let's turn this over to its side a bit and see where our spring is sitting. Now, the important thing here when you're looking at this, let me get you just a little bit closer here, is this is parallel with this, and that's how I like them. Whenever the spring pressure is up, that surface is the same as this one, parallel to it. Not the same height, but parallel to it. We are going to put my finger over the back side of that. Let me move the carburetor so I can stay in focus here. And then we're going to spray into here, and that leak jet should leak. There we go. And it does. It's all good. All right, we'll go ahead and slide our roll gasket in place. It's going to go this way. I know this because that's just the way it goes. All right, and then we'll set this on here. Ding. like that, and that keeps our gasket in place. Then, let's see, these two screws go over here. And then the two with the hose holder majiggers go back here. Because those hoses goes away from the engine. Now this is a classic case of this thing being over tightened. It's been over tightened so much that this is down and this is up. It's like this, mushroomed, and that's because it's been over tightened. Fellers, this does not need a ton of torque to it. Put our O-ring on there. Put our carb drain in. Doesn't need to be real tight, just seat it. That's all it needs. And then we have a little bitty O-ring that goes on the end of this. Right there, and then it goes down in its hole. And then we were 2.5 turns out when we took this out, I believe. So we'll lightly seat this sweetheart. Right there, and go half, 1, half, 2, half, and a smidge. Smidge just because I wanted to go a smidge. Because it sounds funny. That goes in there like that, and then hopefully one of our O-rings fits this. Ooh, look at that, it does. And do we need another O-ring? We do. We need a tiny O-ring that sits down in this cavity right here. Yep, that'll do. Oh, dang, almost forgot our spring. Whoop. There we go. Now we got to just find all the screws that held this thing on. Oh, there they are. Now while you're watching me do this, let me know down below what you'd have done different. Did I miss something? Would you have done something different? While you're down there, go ahead and subscribe too. Doesn't cost you a thing, helps me out. Like the video if you would. That helps me out as well. Trying to get this channel up off the ground where we can get into some super cool projects, even better than what we've had so far. All right, that is one carburetor put back together. However, I knew I would, and I did forget to put this little clamp on here that goes under this screw that holds our throttle position sensor wire. Now I'm pretty sure this throttle position sensor does something, but I've unplugged him and not noticed a bit of difference the way it runs. So whatever it does, it's in the minutia of the details. That is for certain. Now then, let's get our hoses back on here. It looks like he would go here. And this one, with a different corner in it, looks like it would go here. Now then, this one can fit through this hole down here. This one can fit through the smaller hole right there. Yeah, I kind of like that. This one can fit through the outside hole here. This one can fit through the inside hole like that. You notice how the end of these hoses are cut? You see what I'm talking about there? They all are cut on the end. That is so they don't plug up as easily. It's kind of a cool idea, and it works fantastic. Guys, that's our carburetor back together. We'll go ahead and mount this thing back down. Anyway, thanks for watching. Subscribe, like the video, leave a comment. Tell me how you'd have done it. Anyway, we're done with the carb. We'll put that back on when we get the engine back in this thing, and we'll get her finished up. Thanks for watching. God bless.